Welcome to the Farmasia VR project demonstration. Farmasia VR is a virtual reality game developed for Helsinki University's Faculty of Pharmacy, in which students are taught how to operate in a laboratory environment. The project was started back in 2018 with the goal of creating a new and more intuitive way to teach important lab skills that are then tested in a 3-hour practical exam. We are now the 5th team continuing development of the game. When the previous teams had successfully achieved the initial goal, the customer decided to turn up the heat and wanted to continue developing the game to teach important fire safety practices in the laboratory. Fortunately, our predecessors began laying the groundwork for this addition, and they blessed us with an initial 3D model of the laboratory, as well as some fundamental fire safety tools, such as foam extinguishers and a realistic fire blanket to fight fire. Now the torch has been passed on to us, safely of course, to continue developing the fire safety aspect of the game in order to help future lab students master the art of firefighting and not dying. Sprint number 0. During Sprint 0, our initial focus was on familiarization and groundwork. We began by going through the previous team's code and documentation, and then set up Unity and Blender on our computers. We also visited the laboratory at Viki campus to get first-hand experience of the environment we'd be simulating. This visit also allowed us to interact directly with our customer, gaining a clearer perspective on their expectations and aspirations for the game. Once we had familiarized ourselves with the project and customer, we were able to plan new features and delegate tasks. Some team members began working on 3D modeling with Blender, while others concentrated on game logic and creating new fire safety scenarios in Unity. Within this sprint, we managed to design our first 3D models, add functionality to the fire alarm button, and create 2 fire exit scenarios.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Efficient communication being crucial, we also established our channels on ClickUp, Slack, and Discord. This ensured we were always in sync, sharing updates, feedback, and brainstorming collectively. Sprint number 1. In Sprint 1, we picked up from where we left off and continued improving some features from the previous sprint, while also creating new 3D models to make the laboratory more realistic. The fire alarm button was made tactile, and its poke interaction was fixed so that you can realistically press it. The fire exit signs were also illuminated so that players can easily find the right exit routes, even in thick smoke or dark emergency scenarios. New 3D models included a first aid kit, a gas pipe, and a possessed eye wash bottle. Other tasks in this sprint included designing a more logical menu, creating a game over scene, improving the fire spreading system, and making the player die after being on fire for too long. Sprint number 2. In Sprint 2, we decided to expand our 3D modeling efforts and have more team members familiarize themselves with Blender and 3D modeling. While our newcomer 3D artists focused on honing their skills, the more experienced modelers created display closets and sink tables with a holder for the eye washer. We also worked on a smoke buildup effect to increase the game's realism during fire scenarios. This was paired with adjustments to how players interact with fire, ensuring a more realistic experience. Essential tweaks were also made to the game mechanics. We implemented a feature preventing players from teleporting through fires, maintaining both challenge and authenticity. The fire propagation itself received an upgrade with hopes of being used in future scenarios. Additionally, we addressed and resolved a physics issue that caused erratic behavior of objects during fires. Lastly, we began preliminary research on integrating better lighting into our scenes, aiming for both realism and visual appeal. However, we ran into some issues and are still working on it. Conclusion. Development so far has been surprisingly successful. Everyone was able to learn how to use Unity and Blender really quickly, and our team spirit is great. Everyone knows what to do, and it is easy to get help when in need. Our only real sources of frustration have come from redesigning the fire spreading system. A small bug that caused objects to be hidden on some of our laptops, and fixing some issues with the previous team's models.
3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
Reflecting on our journey, if we were to start over, there aren't many things we'd change. We'd possibly invest more in code reviews and consider more in-person meetings for that organic brainstorming. Nonetheless, given that only one team member had previous experience with Unity and VR game development, we are very proud of where we stand today. We thank you all for your time, and stay safe out there.